Hey, soul survivors, I have a viewer topic request and I'd like your comments below on, is Trump a narcissist? So the person had said, what are your feelings on this definite narcissist known as Trump? So in response, what are my thoughts on this definite narcissist? So we got to be careful with what terms we are using, because are, am I supposed to assume you mean, is he diagnosed or should be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder? He is a narcissist. I'll tell you, he's a narcissist, in my opinion. I'm licensed to teach psychology. I'm not a therapist. I'm a life coach. But in 2017, in February, Alan Francis, who wrote the criteria, the person that wrote the criteria states that Mr. Trump, as he puts it, does not meet the criteria. And he says he may be a world-class narcissist, but this doesn't make him mentally ill. And this is why: because he does not suffer from the distress and impairment required to diagnose a mental disorder. So he doesn't meet the criteria to have NPD, and he's not going through distress or impairment. You know, did he care about his divorce? Was he distraught over it, or did he just move on? Was it something he wanted? He wanted to get out of the situation. And it gets tricky when, we see our narcissist, somebody who has a lot of narcissistic traits, maybe not with the diagnosis. You need 5 out of 9 criteria. You could have 6, 7, 8. You can also have comorbidities with other mental illnesses or struggles. But he goes on to continue that he does not show the distress one typically has with this disorder, and that he's been quite successful at making money, getting elected president. So you can't say that he's socially impaired. He's on top. He's the leader of the country, or was. And, you start looking at it, of how he treats people. He's very narcissistic on how he treats people, whether you think he should be president or not. When he's talking to reporters, he cuts them down, shuts them up, doesn't listen, and he's rude. There's ways you can do certain things, but he tries to exert dominance, telling the reporters that, in so many words, that they're stupid or useless as a reporter, publicly humiliating people instead of just saying, that's not a question I'm going to address. So the way he handles people is narcissistic, and it tries to get him on top of the dominance hierarchy. So he it gets tricky because, the inflated sense of self-importance, but he's also the president. So there are decisions that he has to make. Since he's the leader, he's going to discard or discount, at least discount, what other people say. So he, in a sense, leaders, you'll see a lot of times CEOs, police officers, that, top people are narcissistic so they can survive in the workforce. If you take into accountability, you have a sick child, you have this, you can't come into work, you don't have enough money for a car, you have this, you have that. There are some people out there that are wonderful and help other people, but in order to maintain a country, or depending on the finances of a business, how much empathy can you give? Are you concerned about the business or the people? And you can be concerned about the people to an extent. And I work in a place with a lot of empathy. Like, it's amazing, the time off, the mental health kind of days that they give you. And you don't have to beg for certain days off. So mentally, it's really good for mental health. But is he a narcissist? He's narcissistic. Does he have NPD? A lot of times, they'll even say, I'm, well, I guess they say self-diagnosed narcissist, or self-aware narcissist, but they say narcissist. And that means that they've been diagnosed with it. So you have to be diagnosed with it. And it doesn't make sense why you have to have a diagnosis. I think they're trying to protect lay people from labeling people the wrong way, because we all have narcissistic tendencies and it's a survival trait. We need it, but we also have to adapt to society, because if we're all narcissists, like narcissistic, we're all going to destroy each other or not connect with each other. So he exerts his narcissism. Malignant narcissism usually continues to grow throughout somebody's life, to where they become more malignant. And he doesn't want to give up. He doesn't want to accept certain things. You know, maybe or maybe not was the election. I'm not going to get into whether it was or wasn't, but he, in his heart, needs to be president. He feels entitled to that. So, you know, he didn't let it squash him. He invigorated his thrive to do it more. It didn't impair his ability to continue his pursuit. So, unfortunately, you know, I'm not a therapist, but even the person that wrote the criteria says he's not, because of that right there. Do we, you know, we don't need to go further, but he did this, he did that, he did it. Until there's that impairment or distress, he does not have narcissistic personality disorder that can be diagnosed. He is narcissistic in the way he treats people, the way the world revolves around him, the way he treats people. He does treat people as beneath him, but then you got to think about it, you know, people, it gets tricky, because, you know, we all deserve to be loved. We all deserve to be loved, but there is, you know, can you have empathy for everybody if you're trying to run? It's like where it funnels to where he is responsible for everybody. We're down here, we're responsible for the few people in our group. We're not responsible for all these people above them. So I hope that came out the right way, but he is not a narcissist according to NPD criteria. So I hope that was helpful. Please let me know your thoughts. What are some things that you thought were narcissistic? The way he treats people, though, you don't see a lot of empathy.